Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Geek Out for July 2018. Thank you all for joining us. If this is your first Geek Out, thank you for making the time. If you've been here before, welcome back. So the topic today is OnCommand Insight, and we have some amazing guest geeks who are going to talk through some of the really cool features of OnCommand Insight. We'll see a bit of a demo, and then, yeah, we're happy to answer any of your questions that come into the chat. For good questions, as always, we have a gift card, a $25 gift card. So if you've got any questions or just anything that you've ever wanted to know about OCI, please throw that into the chat. Finally, the session is being recorded. We will post the link on YouTube and also on our Geek Out site, and you'll get the email mail out after the session. So if there's anything that you'd like to see, throw it into the chat, and if not, let's get started. So our guest geeks today are on the line, Shakti, Kumar, and Murray Harding. So I might start with Shakti. Shakti, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? What do you do? Where do you work? And what do you spend most of your time on?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shakti. I'm from NetApp, Singapore. Today, your guest geek, but otherwise in my day job, I am into OCI team and the cloud business unit, helping my customer to find what are the workloads which are better fit in the cloud, find out the workloads within their environment which are better suited to move to another asset, and planning, managing that part put together. Right? That's in a nutshell what I do. Over to you, Murray.
Based in Sydney. I'm responsible for the OCI business as a whole throughout Australia and New Zealand. Been with NetApp about 6 months, just coming up 6 months, so really starting to get my arms and legs around the business and the wonderful product that is OCI, or solution that is OCI. Few people I've seen registered, I've met, which is great. I appreciate you guys joining, and look forward to catching up with those who I haven't met as yet.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks, guys. So for the first time ever, I actually have an agenda slide. I'm going to hand over to Shakti to kind of walk through what actually is OnCommand Insight, where it fits and what it does, some of the really common use cases that he sees out in the field of how people are using OnCommand Insight, and then also to the live demo. So I'm really excited. I love seeing OnCommand Insight in the flesh, to say. So I will hand it over to you now, Shakti.
All right. There
we go. And then I'm just going to sit here and ask questions.
All right. Thanks again. Welcome everyone who joined just now as well. So this slide talks about today's agenda. We will talk about few slides, a very little one, because we know many of you might like a live demo. So we'll talk about what OCI is, what it is used for, where it fits in your infrastructure piece. Then we will talk about some most common top use cases, why it is popular, and the way it is accepted, why it is accepted that way. Then a quick live demo into an actual environment where the OCI is installed. I will walk you through the actual instances itself, how it looks like, so you get a feel of how it presents the data, how it collects it, and stuff around that. And then we'll talk about some of the resources. So that will be our agenda for today, right? Let me just flip my slide. Yeah. So what is OnCommand Insight?
Right? So sorry, I'll just jump in as well, Shakti. We all like to call OnCommand Insight OCI because three-letter acronyms are kind of the go-to. So in this session, if we ever say OCI, we're referring to OnCommand Insight as the whole product, right?
That's correct. Thanks, Phoebe, for that. Yes.
Transfer to.
When we say OCI, it is OnCommand Insight, and when we say OnCommand Insight, it is actually the acronym OCI. They are interchangeable, obviously. So with that, once again, the definition is quite straightforward. We call this solution as a hybrid analytical solution. So quite a mouthful. I break it down for you. OnCommand Insight is that solution that you go for when you are trying to decipher your environment, when you're trying to find out intelligence behind your entire infrastructure, be it on-prem, be it in a co-location, private cloud, or even in your hyperscaler public cloud. Wherever your infrastructure lies, OnCommand Insight can get some management details around from it and present it to you, right? That was a simple baseline definition what is OnCommand Insight. While you can now see a picture on your screen which actually connects the dot from virtual machine down to its hypervisors, switches, down to storage, and finally to the volume or the LAN, right? What we are trying to do is we are trying to connect those dots and call it as a logical entity, which is nothing but service path. We at OnCommand Insight first define a service path, which is collection of correlated assets. Once we do that, the magic starts to happen, frankly, because all the business units, all the projects really care about the assets coming together and the SLAs or the SLOs happening, what is the response time that is happening, what kind of IOPS am I able to get from my assets. That all depends upon one single thing, and that is collection of all the entities put together, which is exactly what service path is all about, right? Now, key thing to remember here, we do all of this in a read-only fashion, as in we do not change, OCI does not go inside your environment and change anything. So it is read-only. We do not install any kind of agents. All this is done on a read-only basis over HTTP, SMTP, or such native protocols. We collect our data by polling. We do not install some kind of agent which would probably put stress and jeopardize your security situation. Right?
Just to jump in there, so when you say it's agentless and you don't need to install anything, that means that it can collect from, all it really needs is a network connection so that it can collect that data. It doesn't need to affect the operating system or anything like that, right?
That is correct, Phoebe. We do not install anything on the device operating systems. And obviously, why we say that that's important, because once we do that, we have seen in other products which does such kind of implementation, we have seen security becomes a problem because they might have new vulnerabilities added into the environment, or for that matter, that agent crashing down the operating system. That has happened for most of our competitors when they do such things. But we are proud to say nothing to install on the devices. All you need is a small 2 virtual machines in your environment which can talk to your devices, and that's about it. We can select all of this over the network via the native protocols.
And that's read-only, right?
Yes, that's read-only. Thanks for reiterating that.
So very secure, very good for enterprise, it sounds.
Exactly. And we do support multi-protocols. When I say multi-protocols, we support SAN, NAS, we support all kind of platforms, servers, network, and storage, which I will show in a minute. Yeah, that's what we are trying to talk about here. And we are not just limited to your on-prem data sources or on-prem devices. We are very well connected to your public clouds as well. So if you see over here, there's a list of roughly about 18 over vendors, but this is not a comprehensive list. This is just a tip of the iceberg, if I'm given an authority to say that. While we are NetApp solution, we are proud to say that we are vendor neutral. We support all the major brands likes of EMC, Dell, Hitachi, or even VMware, IBM. That's on-prem. And in the cloud, we very well support Amazon and Azure that you can see in the right-hand corner. So no matter where your devices are, we are able to pull that data together, and we are able to stitch that service part that I was trying to talk about on the top there, virtual machine all the way to volume, using OnCommand Insight. Right? So that's the basic definition. That's what OnCommand Insight is, and that's what it does in the real time for you guys.
Can I ask as well, Shakti, we've had a question come in, when OnCommand Insight is querying your VMs, is it also querying the operating system? How far up the stack is it going?
Right, so when it comes to VMs, we are talking to the hypervisor layer, the ESX layer if it is virtual machine, or Hyper-V if it is your Microsoft solution. We do not go and talk to the each and every virtual machine. Let's say if ESX has 1,000 or a few thousand virtual machines running on it, we get all the data about those virtual machines from the hypervisor layer itself, like whatever the CPU, memory, disk utilization is, what are the consumptions at the virtual machine level is. We get that from hypervisor layer.
Sure, and I don't know, Murray, you might want to jump in there. I know that we do lots of really cool integrations with OnCommand Insight, and I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I know that OnCommand Insight can integrate with other monitoring tools, other systems. Is that can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure, Fibs. Yeah, I suppose I'm being relatively new to it. I'm looking for I suppose new and exciting ways of customers to get benefit out of their existing investments in the likes of ServiceNow, BMC, Remedy. So these service management systems typically have, without throwing anyone under the bus, a bit of a blind spot when it comes to configuration management and configuration items around storage. So we can help populate, keep accurate and up to date around the CIs that typically aren't there in the CMDB. Other applications such as Apptio, so IT financial management or technology business management solutions, we have a great story there. So this is sort of going up above that infrastructure layer while not replacing. We're not out to rip and replace the likes of Splunk, and we work well with them as well. These solutions can really take advantage of the data richness and relationships that we can provide pushing up into these systems out of OCI.
Cool, that's really awesome. I really like the integrations.
All right, with that, let's carry on with our next slide that talks about more into details of OCI. And, sorry, just jumped one slide earlier. So this is typically how a traditional infrastructure looks like. On the top, you have application owners, those small dummy people. And then there is a horizontal control stack, I would say. You have server team, server guys on the first line, then the second one is network people who are talking to their switches or managing their switches, and the third one is the storage admins, which manage your storage, right? This is typically how a traditional data center looks like. Just wanted to show you where OCI fits in this piece when we talk about this logical entity. So OCI would obviously connect the dots right from virtual machine down the switches to the storage. So it is very helpful for everybody. What we are trying to say over here is when we have the service path, everyone from server, network, and storage would gain new insights and new understanding about the environment because we are correlating everything and presenting it to you. Right? That's where OCI is.
Can I ask, though, I'm just going to jump into a slightly more technical question, but where you've got switches there, and I noticed you said network admin, is OCI, is OnCommand Insight also looking at storage networks as well as physical, your traditional IP networks? It's multi-switch capable? Cool.
Yes, yes. So good that you brought that up, CD. We support all the major vendors in FC switches as well, like Brookwood, Cisco's, NetApp of the world. And at the same time, for IP switches as well, we have something called as Ethernet monitoring unit, which can go into IP network as well and gain insights around the NAS, file shares, and iSCSIs, which uses Ethernet world. So well covered on network.
Cool, yeah. That's a lot of data that we're able to collect out of OnCommand Insight.
Yes, that's essentially we call it as big data for your infrastructure. We collect all these details around what is connected to where, how much is the workload, what is the bandwidth, what is the IOPS, and we then run our analytics and come out with some actionable insights which will make your environment more safer, agile, faster, and of course help you save some dollars out of it.
I see where we get the name from. Cool.
Right. So the next slide talks about the top use cases, those top use cases for which our customers love OCI, right? And I'll touch base each of them in detail in the upcoming demo, but just to let you know where it fits in. Number one is visibility. We help our customer to find out what is lying where, how much have you consumed, what is left, what is wasted. So imagine you have 10, 20 data centers plus some cloud investments, and you have your team sitting across different cities, if not different geographies, you know. Imagine the kind of confusion that would create when such a complex environment exists in your customer site or your own site. OCI is that wisdom that will give you ability to visualize what is where, what is not correct, and what is working fine. That is what we call visibility. We help with reducing your mean time to troubleshoot. So we call it as reducing your root cause analysis time. Because OCI is able to understand your environment so well, it can correlate, it can find out where are the bottlenecks, what are the best practices breaches, or for that matter, which devices went off, due to which there is a specific impact on one of your services or application, and it can tell you who is the culprit in the end, helping you reducing your mean time to troubleshoot. So in many cases, we have seen well upwards of 90% of reduction in troubleshooting time simply because OCI is in near real time. It gives you that insight almost instantaneously rather than uploading the logs to some support cases or support vendors and then they analyzing it over 1 or 2 weeks and then they come back with their recommendation or a report on root cause analysis. We cut all that. It is on the fly. Right? Third use case is around risk mitigation. So we try to run our analytics and we try to help you with what are the best practices which are not met. We try to find out what are the anomalies in an environment which, if left unchecked, might end up into a downtime on an outage. How do we do that? I have a good explanation of that in the upcoming demo, so stay tuned for that. Efficiency gains, this is what we call it as low-hanging fruits. We tell what are the wasted assets. In our terms, we call it as orphan. So there could be some orphan or unused, wasted volumes, virtual machine, network assets, which you just have to go back, repurpose, reclaim, and then you would be able to save dollars out. Right? Pretty simple. Last use case last top use case is around budgeting, forecasting, and cost awareness. Very important one. Again, if you are implementing some kind of Showback project wherein you want to your end business units or projects, you will be able to do that using OCI without any revenue leakage. If you want to forecast how much I should invest in my next financial year or financial quarter in terms of storage, server, and compute, OCI can help you with that planning piece as well because it knows how you have been organically growing in the past. We'll be able to recommend some very, let's say, logical numbers where you should be in next 1 year or next 6 months or quarter and such. So these are the top 5 use cases that OCI is built around. I'll take place in the
Sorry,
next...
if you can just go back to that for a moment, Shakti. Sorry, we skipped over a little bit.
Go ahead.
So I guess what just kind of looking at that, OCI is really offering us both things that we can look at now, like you know, troubleshooting and operational performance, like issues that we can resolve right now, like troubleshooting. But then you're also looking at kind of the future, which is the things that might happen based on the data that we've collected and doing some machine learning against that, right? Would you think of it as an AI engine in that sense?
That is correct. We use machine learning in the end, or rather at our database level, where we will collect data and run our machine learning let's say algorithms, and then we also have something called predictive analytics. So not exactly artificial intelligence, but we have predictive analytics which will go into the future and tell you that if you continue to consume or to utilize your environment the way you are on track to some kind of an outage and a downtime by this much % for this particular application. That's the granularity we are able to provide in future.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when you're looking at the kind of the budgeting and the forecast of really the business value of all your assets and all that data that you've collected, it's really then, you know, being able to create chargeback and showback models and really show the value of each individual application in your environment. That's how I'm seeing it, right?
That is correct. This is a very important value that our customer extract out of OCI. We are able to help you with, there are many cases where no other tool has been able to find or even to give such a low level of granularity. We have, in fact, some of the cloud providers, big cloud providers of the industry using OCI for the chargeback mechanism, some private cloud providers as well who are using OCI mainly for charging back their end users. They tried and tested few other tools, but they were not able to, cover the entire, number one, they were not able to cover the entire infrastructure piece. Number two, they saw revenue leakage, they saw lapses, technological gaps in them, which OCI was able to address. So very powerful in that area.
Right, and just before we jump into the reporting and the demos, I guess there's been a question that's come through that I'm really interested in as well, which is how would you recommend getting started on that chargeback, showback journey? Like what, I set up OCI, I've got it collecting all my data, it's populating the data warehouse. What would you do next if I wanted to really start doing showback for that?
Somebody is reading my mind. Actually, that's something that I'm trying to cover in the next slide.
Oh, okay. Well, let's jump straight into the next slide then.
All right. So here we go. We have all these 5 use cases, and of course, you can read the screen. There are multiple other use cases as well where we play. But collectively, we have about 150 well-built reports which are regularly tested for each version upgrade, regularly tested for each change that comes with OCI, so you are assured that those reports would work in future, come what may. But the key point, just like what somebody has, I'm thankful that somebody has picked up, that how do you implement what we say? We do not want your guys to be coders or developers and find ways of how to collect data out of OCI. We do the hard work for you. We have well-built reports catalog, which has these 150 reports. All you need to do is pick and choose which reports you want to run in the environment. And once you deploy your OCI, once you deploy your data sources, it's hardly a matter of time before those reports will start to show up with the insights that we are talking about. Nothing technical or nothing hard work that you have to do to actually make those work. Right?
Awesome.
Does that answer your question as well?
Yeah, I think, and these are kind of the out-of-the-box catalog reports that that we can really then customize if we needed to.
That is correct. This is again, OCI is a very helpful and an open tool. You can definitely integrate it with third party. You can customize it the way you like. These are those 150 reports which our customers have chosen, selected, and wanted to be in this engineering document, which is called reporting catalog. And we keep updating it. Last year it was just around under 100. This year we have added 50 new reports on the demand, and the upcoming one I'm sure would be even bigger number. But then these are something that our customers have shortlisted based on their experience.
And just if I make a really cool report that I would like to maybe use, you know, if I was a service provider and I wanted to use a report somewhere else, they're transferable between instances?
So if you want to use it somewhere else, as in still you are using it on OnCommand Insight, are you trying to say that, or?
Yeah, so maybe I've set up OnCommand Insight for, you know, one of my business units, and I have another customer who would also like to use OnCommand Insight, but I've got a really cool report. I can export and import that same report?
Yes, good question, CB, again. Thanks for reminding me. These reports are, again, you can automate them, as in you can send these reports via email to your end customers and business units on a scheduled fashion, as in weekly, monthly, or even daily at a specific time. They will reach a specific group of people who should be seeing that report. That is one way. We also support FTP, so you can put it into an FTP site or a SharePoint site or any other local shared drive that you want to probably, a team drive that you want to probably use for OCI to upload. All that can be done automatically. OCI can send those reports at a scheduled time.
Sure. So I think we should jump into the demo so that people can see what OCI and OnCommand Insight looks like.
Sure. I think I agree with you as well. Let me quickly, you will have to pass the ball to me, and I will start the demo straight away.
Let me do that.
And yes, I got the ball. I am sharing my screen now. Phoebe, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes, I can. Awesome.
Yep. Excellent. So everyone, now we are starting our demo. This is the actual OCI installation at one of our servers, and what we are looking at right now is OCI client server. So there are two servers or two virtual machines that you need when you deploy OCI. One is called OCI client, and the other one is called OCI DWH data warehouse server. So right now you're looking at client. I'll take you to the DWH and the reporting server in the subsequent screen. So once you log in, this is technically the landing page, and for the purpose of demo, what I've selected today is two user interfaces. First one talks about how it helps you with your day-to-day activities, how it helps our operations staff to do their day-to-day activity like performance monitoring, troubleshooting, finding what information is where, how much am I consuming, what is wasted, stuff around that. Second part of my demo would be something that concerns the management staff around how I will avoid an outage in future, how I have, how my Showback or chargeback reports look like. Right? At the same time, how can I save some dollars out of my environment? What are the best practices, breaches, and stuff like, which is probably somewhere around leads, architects, and IT managers, senior managers kind of stuff. They are measured on those KPIs, so we have covered that in the second section. So let's talk about the first section, which is about operations staff. Typically, for operations staff, first thing that we want to present, the first use case, visibility. So right now on your screen, for an example, you see capacity by vendor. This is EMC, NetApp, Hitachi, and others. So we have collected all the data, put them together in one place, and now we are presenting you in capacity, in switch ports, in some numbers, what are the efficiency gains and stuff like that. I'm not going to explain each one of them, but Very intuitive. There is some fonts, if you see carefully. We are talking about storage arrays. So all these are your storage arrays which are discovered by OCI, and it is also able to increase the font for those arrays that need urgent attention. So these are the arrays which have more IOPS compared to others. Same is true with your servers as well. So these are your virtual machines that OCI has discovered. It will increase the font for those troublemakers or noisy neighbors, so to speak, which should be looked at immediately. Right?
And that could also be cloud environments, Shakti. So that could be AWS, EC and EC2 instances, or So we could see that all on the same dashboard.
Yes, thanks for that again. It doesn't matter where your estate lies. We will pull data from everywhere and still be able to put them in one single place where you can visualize and then take some informed decisions on where you want to invest your time wisely to avoid some kind of outage or a downtime, or rather some trouble that could have happened. Right? Next one I want to talk about is application anomaly. Right? So that's also a dashboard that we have. So
are these dashboards inbuilt?
Sorry?
Are these dashboards inbuilt, or they're built by like as part of the product, so we can just get them straight away?
So we do not build all the dashboard, but especially this application anomaly dashboard, we do not build it as in customer has to pick and choose from 22 widgets. So we have widgets. One of them is around anomaly as well. They just have to pick up and then they will have to put in their dashboard. So they actually create their own dashboard based on what is more important to them. Right? Cool. So you can choose what you like rather than seeing everything that is available. While we do have some default dashboards as well, of course. So coming back to what is application for us, what is its anomaly, giving you a 2 minutes of explanation before we get deeper into it. So an application for us is a collection of resources: compute, network, and storage. We collect all of them. This is essentially that, if you remember, I talked about that service path. This is the logical service path that we talk about. We connect the dots together, and we are able to tell you what is connected to what by how many paths, if those paths are active, something is not working or not in a topology. All this happens automatically. You don't have to draw this. So once you define an application, what our application anomaly does is it looks into its behavior, so to speak, over a period of 2 weeks. It understands, learns how a specific application behaves. I give you an example. Let's say if you have a backup application which fires backup every night at 10 p.m., right, and the CPU, memory, disk utilization goes over the top, let's say 95, 100% utilized CPU and memory, and that happens every night. Traditionally, your monitoring tool would send you alerts every night, and you will have to ignore them every night. But OCI, once it understands that basic baseline performance, it will understand that that's the behavior of that particular application, and it will not alert you. But one fine day, during business hour, 10 a.m., the same backup application fires up, and then it starts to consume CPU memory, and then it starts to have an impact on your other servers, or probably be production servers as well. Then OCI is the one which will help you. It will start to send you alerts. It will start to send you that this particular application has an anomaly, and not just that, it has an impact to other assets by such and such percentage. So not just you will work on correcting something which is wrong, you would also try to work on the side effects of it. That's the power of OCI. That's the power of correlation of your anomaly detection, right? So giving you a live example here on the screen, bear with me. If it is quite a little fast, you can probably drop your questions and we will take them there. So we assign an anomaly score for every application based on the deviation from its baseline behavior. In this example, you can see that there is an IOPS that jumped from almost 0 to 5,000 all of a sudden, and hence there is something not right, and hence we have picked them up as anomalies. Then OCI is also recommending, saying that where the problem is, these blue bars are the places where OCI is saying the problem happened. So it says IOPS at compute resource went up too high. It says IOPS again at volume level went up very high. Of course, internal volume and volumes are connected to each other, so that's why internal volume also saw IOPS. So it's all about IOPS. It is complaining that the IOPS went up. It is showing you a nice graph. It is telling you that something went wrong. It is also telling you where to look at. So it says there is a volume which is related, which must have been the troublemaker. Right? So it points you to the right direction for further troubleshooting. I'll not go down that path. I'll not go and show you why this happened, where it happened, because that could be hundreds of thousands of reasons why this happens. Objective is this helps you find the information which, imagine if you were to collect logs from your servers, networks, and storage, put them together, and find out where the correlated problem is, where should I be looking to resolve a particular solution or situation. Imagine how much man-hours you would require to do that. OCI does that for you on the fly. It has this machine learning in the back end which is doing the hard work.
Does it adjust
any questions?
Does it adjust the baseline score over time?
Yes, it is very intelligent. It is able to keep learning about your environment. So let's say the same backup server that we mentioned, it was doing what it was doing every night, 10 p.m., and all of a sudden the same behavior happens at 6 p.m. every day as well, because it's a backup server and it has a new backup job. It will learn that, and it will take it as a normal behavior rather than alerting you. That's what we call as machine learning.
Awesome.
Right? Okay. So the next topic I'm going to pick up is again for operations staff, where we are able to help them with reducing their troubleshooting time. This will be the place where OCI has been helping lots of our complex customers in finding out who is the culprit, who is the troublemaker in no time. So let me take that example and move forward with that. For, let's say, for the sake of convenience, let's say somebody calls and you get to know that Exchange server is running slow. Of course, most of us hate Exchange running slow, and most of us would have experience what does that mean. I don't need to explain that. But let's say somebody says that. You type Exchange, right, on the search bar there, and you start to see these Exchange servers. Obviously, all those devices start with or have Exchange in their name. I found what I'm looking for. I click on that Exchange. Clearly, I reach the Exchange application. I'm looking at its anomalies, nothing wrong here. But as you can see, anomaly says nothing is wrong here. Anomaly is says that, or the anomaly detection says that there is something that you should be looking at. This is a pointer. This orange square is what we are going to go into in a minute. And then the problem clearly here is the latency went up from almost 0 to all the way about 4.3 seconds, if I'm not wrong. 2.3 seconds of latency on Exchange. Clearly a problem. But when we see the cause and effect, the cause doesn't seem to be anything wrong. We see IOPS at 100 IO per second, which is certainly not of a concern. It does not seem to be the troublemaker here. Then what is it that happened? Now the answer is here, the orange symbol. We don't want you to actually know your environment, because OCI knows much more than humans can probably know at any time. So what it says that there is this volume which is contributing to this kind of behavior, and you click on that. What I did is just clicked on the first thing that OCI recommended. I went inside. And by the looks of it, I know this is an internal volume, and this is where my Exchange is running, because it has those coming from this volume. The Exchange VM is being assigned to this particular volume, so I know from there. Again, it shows the same behavior. Latency goes up, IOPS have no problem at all, but something more important here to see. OCI also have an additional field which was not there in any of the previous screens. It says greedy, meaning to say somebody is driving this particular volume crazy. Simple as that. And what is it? You click on this 97%. This indeed is that root cause analysis. This indeed is that the statement that I was trying to reach so far. In last 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes or so, we have done or we have established which would have taken hours, days, if not weeks, for normal troubleshooting to happen. We are saying IOPS of one particular volume, which is ST1 volume 1, impacts latency of another volume, which is ST2 volume 1 by 97%. So again, let me break it down for our non-technical friends as well. This means one volume is impacting another volume. So in our example, let's say you receive a call for Exchange, people will look into Exchange server, they will look into Exchange storage, whatever the networks it is connected to, and they will troubleshoot down that path. They will try to validate it if everything is working fine, go through the logs, and essentially waste time. Because it's not the problem with Exchange anymore. It's a problem of contention. Another volume is actually contending for the same service path and creating the havoc. So what OCI help you with? In less than 4 clicks, it is able to tell you the problem is not with Exchange, but the problem is somewhere else. You go there and you click on that particular volume, and then you find out what that volume is all about. So this volume, internal volume, whatever the storage, it is sharing the same pool or aggregate, so to speak, and this has travel booking application running on it. You can also compare, there are 2 colors, just in case the resolution is not so good, orange and blue. One of them has high IOPS, which is this one, going up to 5K. One of them have high latency as a side effect. So increase in IOPS on one side causes shoot up in latency on the other side. Right?
Shakti, sorry, I've got to jump in now because we have 3 minutes left, and I know there's so much more of this demo that we want to show everyone. I'm going to just say, in 1 minute or less, is there anything in the OCI and the OnCommand Insight environment that you really want our viewers to see?
Sure. The less than 1 or 2 minutes that I have, I want to show them the low-hanging fruit, which is this orphan storage dashboard. So this screen tells you where your wastages are. What are the devices that should not exist? You can simply go, delete them, decommission them, and repurpose them. What we are looking at? We are looking at Amazon S3, number 1, so that is your cloud. We are looking at EMC, most likely at your on-prem or private cloud. Hitachi, HP, IBM, NetApp, all of them are listed. So this is your storage estate. We are looking at it. We are telling you what is it that we found orphan by configuration, which is nothing but human error. Orphan by performance, which is again nothing but you stopped using some device after some time. You were doing some testing, used it very well for let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a quarter, and then you left it aside. You just forgot about that test. A number of servers, number of storage was wasted in it for many quarters or years to come. So you would be surprised to know that 9 out of 10 cases we have OCI installed have found this to be surprising. As in, customer was not expecting that 20, 30, 40% of my assets are lying wasted. But the truth is, too hard to believe, the truth is, that is what it is. OCI has managed to find.
I'm going to jump in. I'm so sorry, Shakti, because we have 1 minute left, and I just have a couple of things that I need to show the rest of our viewers. If there is more, if you like what you've seen, please do, reach out to the OnCommand Insight team or to myself. Shakti, can you just pass me back the
Sure. Thanks, everyone. And Phoebe, I think you have the control now.
Awesome. Thank you. So I guess there's just one more thing that I want to share, which is our there's our demo, which is a really quick sneak preview of Cloud Insights, which is a cloud-based version of a lot of what you've seen today. In the event that you don't maybe want to run the infrastructure yourself and to set up all those dashboards inside the cloud rather than running them on your own system. So there's a really quick sneak peek. If you're interested, let me know. I might do another Geek Out on it. And just a couple of resources and reminders that the next Geek Out in August will be coming out via email very shortly. I'm going to be talking to one of our specialists all about NVMe and the NetApp story around NVMe over Fabric. So if you're interested in that, please do jump on. I'm so glad you could join us today. If you've got any other feedback or questions, just reach out. I'm more than happy to answer them or to point you in the right direction. Thank you so much. I'll see you next month.